Yes, so welcome. My name is Kwabena. I'm here with Angie. We connected by technology actually, and she will do her own introduction. So, Angie.
Hi everyone, my name is Angie. I've been in Ghana since December 2020 and loving it. I want to be here to discover what Ghana has to offer. And it's not my first time in Ghana, it's actually my fourth time, and I'm now living in Ghana. And I would urge you guys to come back to the motherland because the West is not all that. Here is where you should be. Anywhere on the continent, pick any African country, but Ghana is where I am, so I'm speaking for Ghana. It's great, it's fantastic.
Wow,
I love it.
Thank you. Wow.
That's it.
So, usually, whenever I'm talking to any African, whether born on the continent or born outside the continent,
yes,
I notice the difference. The difference when they are very optimistic and positive about Africa, there's something they know, and when they are also very negative and they focus on the negatives, there is also something they know.
yes.
So usually, when you see when I talk to you and I see the optimism, I see the positivity, I know there is something, I want to know that which shape your mind to see Africa as it is, to see Ghana as it is.
Well, I've been coming to Africa. It's not my first time, or even fifth time on the continent. I've been to a few other African countries. The first time I visited the continent was about 20 years ago. I went to a wedding in Nigeria. I've been to Gambia, I've been to Gambia only once. I've been to Benin a few times, passed through Togo, and not really East Africa, but Ethiopia. I'm Ethiopian Airlines from the UK to West Africa, but not really East Africa. But yeah, those are the African countries I've been to, and I've always been excited about Africa. I've been trying to tell my friends and family about the positive things on the continent for years. Some have not wanted to listen to me, but I think now that more and more people, especially with the way things are, what's happening in the world, everybody wants to escape where they are, everybody wants somewhere good to go to, a nice place to go to, and I would say, come to the continent. For one, we as Africans are not meant to be in Europe. Are not meant to be in Europe because the weather, the climate, the way of living, the situation, the people that you're living around is not the best. In fact, it brings you down. It smashes your self-esteem.
A few times that I've encountered the West, the systems and the way they run them, and how they treat anybody who looks like me, is with much disdain and with much disrespectfulness.
Yes.
You are almost always looked at what's not from the intelligence level. They want to look at you from somebody who cannot use their brain.
Yes.
Even in Asia,
yes.
The average ordinary citizen in China thinks that you are in Africa, you're suffering. And this is the image that the colonizers, when we came into contact with them, they have promoted for all these years. They had to make sure that Africa was branded to be backward, poor, disunited, unintelligent people. That was the strategy that they used.
Yes.
And they had to make sure that strategy continues.
Yes.
So it's not only work on us, it's really work on us where we think that we should not be united or we should not work as a group. It's in our consciousness.
Yes.
When you have money and you want expertise, the average middle class will want to look at somebody who looks maybe Chinese or maybe to give technology, finance. Whenever they talk about we want investors, what it means is that they want some Chinese money or some European money. This is the conditioning.
Yes.
They are not looking at African with money. And so when we say that it's not meant for us to live, I think it's true. It's true.
Absolutely.
It's true. And so what has been the journey? You have come. What is Ghana now?
Oh, Ghana is fantastic. But before going there, can I say that the colonizers did a good job in playing with your mind. What they set out to do, they did it. To make the whole world think that the continent of Africa is one country, one poor country, which is not true. 54 countries, very rich countries. What they're after is to dumb you down. What they're after is to take your self-esteem so low that the African brothers and sisters from the continent want to go to the West. If they leave to go to the West, well, that means they leave wide open a space where their natural resources can be stolen, can be taken. And that's what the colonizer is after. So the colonizer has messed with the brains of Africans on the continent and Africans in the diaspora. They've really done a number on our brains to make us think that we're not worthy, we're all the things that you said. And,
yes, which means those of us who are here must not look at here.
Right.
It's poor, it's nothing.
Yeah.
Then those of you who are outside the continent also think that the continent is poor. So what should I do?
That's correct. That's correct.
Now, there is a third person who is here.
Yeah.
Trying to take all the things that they've been taking for all these years.
Yes.
I have mates who are engineers, doctors, who leave. Some of them went to do postgraduate PhD in England or America or these countries.
Yes.
They still come here thinking like the white man. They still come here, I want to do charity to help the Africans. People are still struggling, and the yardstick we use to measure ourselves
Yes.
is the so-called standard of living.
Yes.
But which country will not be rich if you have millions of people work for you for millions of hours over 300 years? Who will not be rich? If you went everywhere to take the wealth of nations, what was Britain before they moved? Well, nothing. 200 years.
I wouldn't even say a third world country. I would say fifth world country, if possible. More than fifth world country, because without the West, without Africa, without the African continent, the West wouldn't be what it is today.
It's true. It's true.
At all. No way. No
We
way.
talk of industrial revolution, and that happened maybe a century or more after they had after they had gone everywhere and taken the wealth.
Yes.
Particularly Africa. Not only the gold, the diamond, then the intelligence and the know-how.
Yes. True.
Then they say that they are now rich. And America will not be America if they had all these people work for them for free.
Yes.
For hundreds of years.
Yes.
Now the wealth.
Yes.
Somebody will ask you that why is China developing and Africa is developing? Okay. America gave us this money, technology, the market. They never gave the same thing to Africa. So I think that we should see ourselves as the Africa is for all of us.
Yes.
Whether you're born here,
Yes.
or you're born. We should not come to Africa thinking, I'm going to visit Ghana.
Let's just make it clear. African should be all of us. Africans who look like you and me.
Okay.
I just want to make that clear.
Accept that. It should be. Because we are the ones that the system fashions.
Yes.
Anybody who looks like us, you are not considered the top in that system.
Yes.
So anybody who is not given top privilege in that system must look at Africa.
Yes.
And almost all of them are Africans. So the Africans who look like you, we must call the Africa as a duty to make sure that Africa works. This Africa works for all of us.
Yes.
And we're talking about that.
Yes, I mean, I've been saying for a long time, and I will continue to say it, and I hope that everybody says it too, everybody who knows the African continent, who lives on the African continent, that we Africans in the diaspora should be looking towards the African continent to come back home, to leave the West. I've said it before and I'll say it again, I don't believe that we are not meant to be living in the West, in that cold climate, in that condition, faced with racism, faced with stress, illnesses, diseases. We weren't meant to be there in that atmosphere. We were meant to be on the continent. Why not come back to the continent? Even if you don't want to, I say, even if you don't want to come to live, even if you don't know which country to go to, just go and visit, go and see. Take it from the diasporans coming back. Just listen to us, even the ones who are living on the continent. Just listen to us for a second.
Yeah.
Come back, have a holiday in whichever country you like, and then see, really see what it's like, and think about moving from where you are in the West back to the continent.
That's right. Wow. And so, having come since December 2020.
Yes.
So, what's the reception? How's the business going? What are the things that you've been doing?
Well, not really business flowing as yet. What I wanted to do when I first came was to do a natural juices business. And looking for a store, looking for a space, looking for something like that was a bit challenging. So I thought maybe I'd go to Plan B. And Plan B is acquiring some land. Now, I have worked on acquiring some land with some people. In fact, I have purchased some land, and I plan to sell it off in plots. It's 10 acres.
How was the feeling when you bought the land?
Oh, absolutely wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
Only the interest.
Yes.
Structure. You can have some few individual whites who are good-hearted, but the system, after all these years, the laws that they have set, the institutions that they have built, the structures that they have set, from their modern day institutions to olden days, the laws they have set to only make them successful, and the rest of the world poor, particularly Africa.
Yes.
So maybe you can explain it as you work in those cultures and what you meant.
Yes, that's true. Because if somebody's telling you where you live is poor, if you keep drumming something into somebody's head, at some point they're going to believe you.
Yeah.
So if you keep saying that the continent of Africa is poor, and what you see out there on television, mainstream media, remember mainstream media is controlled by who? It's not controlled by us.
That's right.
So mainstream media, the world mainstream media is controlled by them out there.
Yeah.
So they strategically put on mainstream media whatever they want you to see, whatever they want you to believe.
Yes.
So they're putting out their images of the continent of Africa as some little village which is poor.
Yes.
Why would they do that? If you're coming on the plane from the West and the plane is full of people, but you're not seeing a lot of people that look like you, you're wondering if the destination of is as poor as the mainstream media says.
Why are they coming?
Why are they going to the continent? What do they want there?
That's right.
They want you living in your poor surroundings to leave for the West, to go and build the West as we've done, and leave your natural resources for them. They want to go and pillage the natural resources. Because the continent of Africa can survive and can live very well on its own without any other continent. Africa doesn't need any other continent. Other continents need Africa in order to survive.
It's true. It's true. When I was reading the material on Africa, especially the Western kind of education, before they came, we had our own way of educating ourselves.
Yes.
Now they came to most of our secondary schools, especially. They came to missionary education. So the church people will come and break you before they will come and so they attack our education system, attack our culture, our religious system.
Yes.
And then the document said that they had to make sure that they will not give us science, mathematics,
Yes.
their science,
Yes.
their mathematics, their physics, engineering, anything of technology, they have to make sure that we will not have access to those. So most of our leaders who went through this structure of education were not given much of their science education. Why? So that we will not think of how to use the technology to transform the materials that you have. So if you 100 years back, you will still see our people, the best of them did not do science. Even currently, most of our leaders do not do science. Because the more you do, then you want. It's the same thing they did with the church.
Yeah.
You know, so they will tell you that Jesus is white, the devil is black. And they will teach you all the quotations that they hammer in our churches. The poor will go to heaven. You don't need anything on this earth. It's a program.
Yes.
And it was part of their agenda to make the Africans to believe that
Yes.
they had to be poor. It was a policy to make sure that the Africans never become rich.
Yes.
And it's now in institutions. So you go to funding organizations, how much do they give to African businesses? But if you look like somebody else, you know, they will give you. Because in part of the package, the Africans must not be rich.
Yes.
The Africans must doubt their own ability.
Yes.
The Africans must not be white, must not be one.
Yeah.
And they should not believe in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So these are structures that have been set and they continue.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of people say that Africans cannot work together?
Yes.
It's also designed.
Yes.
It is.
Yes. All this is part of a plan.
Mm-hmm.
And this plan has been going on for decades.
Yes.
It's not just now. It's not just around the corner. It's before this so-called pandemic. It's everything's been planned. And when you say that they don't want to see Africans rise or Africans rich, when Africans rise, will be a force to be reckoned with, especially if the diasporans came back to the continent, African diasporans and Africans on the continent uniting. Can you imagine what sort of power that would be, force that would be? Because we know Africa is now. It's not the future, it's now.
That's right.
It's now. So imagine if we all come together, we all unite, we all make the continent, we all make the great continent even greater, because this continent is great already.
Yeah.
So it's all a strategy, keeping us down with education, especially religion. You know that saying about the missionaries came to the continent of Africa, they told you to kneel down, close your eyes, and pray. And when you open your eyes, you had the Bible in your hand,
And they had a
and they had the land.
And they had a land.
They had the land, and you had the Bible. You're left with the Bible. You don't need to be. You have to be poor in order to enter heaven or whatever. You know, they're throwing away your customs and your religions and bringing their own in. Trying to brainwash you and trying to change your mind and force you into a way of thinking that will keep you down.
It's true. Because if you look at the Christianity in the Bible that these guys, when they translated to English, I think that from the 15th century, the Christianity, the kind of Christianity that I see, I mean, Christians can be offended, but I think the kind of Christianity that we were introduced to is the one that was re-engineered. The European Christianity is what we are used to. That's why Jesus was the European. Much of the practice in Christianity that we see that they came here is not the one that is in the Bible. And in that, the Bible, majority of Africans who have studied doubt a lot of the things in there. You know, but let me take it laterally. Let's assume that it's really good. Much of it has been re-engineered. And they use that, they intentionally use that to create their domination. So everything, the white man must be powerful. And if you're an African and you don't deal with that, there's not much you can do with your life, no matter how you are. Because it's a virus. So when I saw what you wrote and when we compared, I knew that you had attacked the virus.
Yes. And many of us come back with that same mentality. can you imagine how strong we will be? Because as a nation, we are the strongest. We are the original people. The original people. I mean, look at this melanin. Without melanin, in my opinion, you're less than. You're less than. So, can you imagine what a force to be reckoned with if we all came with the same mentality? As I think it was Marcus Garvey said that we all don't need to be on the African continent, because if we're no good over there, we won't be any good over here on the African continent. So what he's saying is that don't come to the African continent if you have that sort of mentality of I am better than you, or anything like that. That mentality, I'm coming to help my African peoples on the continent. Don't come with that mentality. Stay where you are, because you'll be happier there. You'll be fine.
The other day I was asking someone.
Yes. Only those with the mentality, with this mentality of coming back to bond with their brothers and sisters, to be working with your brothers and sisters. You're the same people. Yeah. The only difference is that they took you away.
That's right.
And left your brothers and sisters behind.
Yes.
That's the only difference.
Because those who come with the mindset that of the white.
Yes.
Because the white man has always placed himself as higher. Yes. In everything. In money, in privilege, in intelligence, even in religion.
Yes.
It must be up.
Yes.
It must be bottom. If you're an African and you have that thinking, it will be very difficult for you to be successful here. If you don't deal with that thinking, it's almost impossible.
Yes.
For you to come to Africa to think that you came here so that you're coming to help them to think like that. No. It doesn't work. As a matter of fact, when you come to think like that, you come as a weakness.
Yes.
You're weak. Because who would not be rich if you have access to, okay, for instance, how many people live in the West with that mortgage or have a house?
I would say 99.9%.
Will not have a house to live.
You mean with mortgage, or you mean not?
There's no mortgage.
Oh, okay.
There was no bank finances. How many people will own their own house?
In fact, I probably knew maybe one person.
One person. One person.
One person. So that how much percent is that?
That's right. So if you didn't have access to credit to buy a car,
yes,
go to school, do wedding, funeral,
yes,
buy a house,
yes,
most people have nothing.
That's
now,
right.
On the continent, we don't have access to that.
Okay, you're talking about the credit part, where
yes,
in the West you have access to all the credit you want.
Yes.
But on the African continent,
we don't have access to that. Even if you have access to that, it's not effective because it's too expensive.
Yes.
And yet people are building businesses without access.
Yes. From nothing.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
On the continent.
Because what it takes,
and we're poor. On the continent.
And what it takes, the financial infrastructure that you need to build a business in is not the same as the use. So if somebody has $1 million in Ghana,
yes,
how be able to work to get $1 million? If the same person were to use the structures in those countries to be transferred or housing.
Yes.
You know, so the value that people create. So we were talking because one of the reasons people move out of Africa is because of money.
Yes.
They think that life will be better, they will get money when they move out.
Yes.
And I'm saying that if you understand the financial infrastructure and the systems here and the systems there and how they are built, it's not like it's better financially. Because a lot of this, for instance, the white male, if you look at the billionaires, they are the dominant.
Yes.
Why? It has history. Everybody else was stopped so that they would do well. The white would do well.
Absolutely. You're talking about the time when they invaded the African continent. Mm-hmm. They took whatever they took, mm-hmm, including us, mm-hmm, and made themselves rich.
That's right.
With this wealth, they passed it down through their generations.
That's right.
We didn't have this wealth because it was taken from us. Yeah. Therefore, we cannot pass anything down through our generation. So, of course, they're rich.
That's right. And even that, now, their parents.
Yes.
If you're an African woman and you are starting business in England, and you are a white woman starting business in England, look at who they will give money to.
That's correct.
The hindrances that they will give.
That's correct.
Once in a while, they will just give one example to say that, oh, if this one can do it, everybody else can do it. That's not the truth. The truth is that they just use one example.
We call that token.
Okay.
Or as I say, token black. They take the token. I don't like using the word black because that's the name they gave us as a color. That's what they call us. They call it token black, or just token. They take this one person who looks like us, make them an example, put them up there, make them an example for the rest of us to think, oh,
we are not doing well, that's why we are not there.
Yes, we can do it if they're up there, or we're not doing well, and it's all a game.
That's right.
It's all a game. They know how to play very well.
It's true. The so-called prosperity is a structure that they benefited, and they have kept it to benefit only their kind. And so we must understand that system and build our own system.
That's right.
That will make up. Because if you are building business in Ghana, for instance, you must understand how the system works. You cannot bring the English structure here.
No.
Say that you want to build a business,
No.
you will fail.
Yes.
You know, but if you study the system here,
Yes.
you get to understand the culture, how people think. Because when you go to the shop, they don't buy with credit card.
No.
They buy with cash.
Yes.
With those who bring cash, it's their own money on the card. It's no loan.
Yes.
We work for the money.
Yes.
So if somebody is spending money that they work for, you must understand how they think. And the other person will give you, they work for the money and they just loaded it. You must also understand how they think.
Yes.
And so, for me, the word financial structure has been set against us.
It has.
And so when you move from here to America, that's not where you're going to become a millionaire. You get some car or mortgage and some house. But after 40 years, you will not be better off.
Oh, in fact, let's tell the African youth on the continent about moving to the West, should they want to move to the West. Don't do it. Let me tell you what's going to happen, as what's happening in most cases. First of all, you'll struggle to get the money together for your transport. If you can't, then you take the dangerous passage, and you know what that is. On a rickety ship somewhere in the Mediterranean, maybe you will get there, maybe you won't. The first country that you reach to, they may or may not take you in. They may move you on somewhere or put you in some sort of camp. I mean, that's your first experience of reaching Europe. I mean, how
treated like an animal.
Right, treated like an animal, treated like a caged animal. Even if you do succeed, you may be sent back, or you may be there. But if they give you the rights to be there, you may not have any papers. If you get through legally, what's going to happen is you may be a doctor. You may be someone who sells something on the streets. Whatever your profession, it doesn't mean you're going to make it. If you're a doctor, it doesn't mean you're going to be a doctor there. I see a lot of people with high professional jobs.
Do you think that?
Speak in the streets.
See? Do you think that we really understand? I think we have a problem understanding the Western system. If you're born in Africa.
Yeah.
We think that everybody loves us. And
Yes.
we think that they treat us equally.
Yes.
And you're saying the same in Jamaica.
It's not. Well, in Jamaica, it's a class system, and it's also a color system.
What does that mean?
You see, in Jamaica, the lighter you are, the better you're treated, and you get the better jobs. They call you, if you're a lighter skin, they call you brown or brownie. Now this is the mentality, this is the slave system, brown or browning.
Brown.
Because of the fair complexion of your skin, that means you're better than anyone who's darker. That is the slave mentality, because on the plantation they had the darker ones working out in the field, dark, strong, working out in the field, while they had the mixed race ones, the light skinned ones in the house. You see? So it's all a system.
You know, they were doing the same thing in Nigeria. If those guys gave birth to an African woman, they took the child and educated them in the
Yes.
Yes. And it still runs in Jamaica.
Yes. It's horrible, but that's the reality. That's reality. But going back to what I was saying about when you reach, let's say the UK, when you reach anywhere in the West, but I'm talking specifically about the UK, there are very few people who make it. Very few people who make it. For a start, you would be forced to have at least 2 jobs. At least. So that means 2 jobs or more. in order to pay the high amount of taxes that you're going to be paying. There's also your family back on the continent that you need to be sending money to. Now, you're not going to get a good job straight away, if you ever do get a good job. So, you're not going to tell your family back on the continent what you're really doing.
No, you can't.
Cleaning the streets, cleaning some old Caucasian person, looking after their children, working in a hospital, hard jobs, cleaning hotel rooms, hard jobs. You're not going to have that job that you dreamed of or that job that
you know. Some people say that, no, when I travel, I won't do that. Or when I went there, I decided not to do that because it's a personal choice. You know, people should do that. Or what's your reaction to that? Somebody will tell you that, no, it's a choice. We have decided to find maybe a corporate way to do it and are successful. You know, people say those things.
Maybe a few, but the percentage is very small.
Okay.
Percentage is very small.
That's right.
Also, remember that people lie.
Mm-hmm.
People lie.
Okay.
So, you know, they may be telling the truth, they may not be telling the truth. But you will not go to the UK, anywhere in the West, and get that job that you dreamed of.
That quickly.
You will not become
the
overnight.
percentages.
That will never happen.
Okay. So the percentages will tell you the pattern.
Yes.
Where the system really is.
Yes.
So if I see that this percentage of this particular people,
Yes.
70% of them are doing this kind of work. This is the
There you go.
This is the area they stay.
There you go.
This is the kind of education that they are giving.
Right.
This is the standard of living. And if this is the lifespan, it means there is something beyond just one being able to go out of that.
Yes.
It means the system is set. So if you want to raise all the people, you must change the system.
Yes.
And that's
The system is set to work against you.
That's right.
Even those who are born in the West, even those who grew up in the West, who have spent a long time in the West, it's not decided that you will have the best of the West. You will still be discriminated against. And years ago, it used to be outright discrimination, calling you all these names and, you know, stopping you from getting that job that, you know, the Caucasian is doing. But now it's covert. But it's so there. Even a blind man can see this racism that exists. Oh, it's there. And you feel it as well. If you are, especially if you're a spiritual person, you feel it and you feel that that's the kind of place and that's the kind of atmosphere that you don't want to be. And you certainly don't want your children to be there either. So parents, please don't send your children to boarding school in the West. Don't do it. You're ruining them. Destroying them.
So, what would you tell someone who wants to come to Africa?
I would say,
And watch right
as long as they look like us, they're welcome. Please come. You will see that you will have a good quality of life. Quality of life is something that is almost non-existent in the West. It doesn't exist. In my opinion, it does not exist. Quality of life for somebody who's like you and me. It's not there. You open your door, you go out, you immediately face racism. You turn on the TV, you immediately see that racism and this brainwashing. It's just
you're constantly being told you're nothing.
Constantly being told you're nothing, you're constantly being and your children also, when they go to school, the same thing happens to them. Bullied, victimization, racism, dumbing you down is another thing.
I hear they even ban them now, the students.
Yes.
So
yes.
That they say that you're not good.
Yes. Now, studies show that African peoples are more superior in knowledge. Now, when an African child is at school in the West, then because their education is, especially if they're coming from the African continent or the Caribbean, and you carry on your studies in the West, you will automatically be dumbed down. You start to be dumbed down because you're so far advanced, and this is normal to be advanced. In fact, we don't see it as being advanced. We see it as being that's where you're supposed to be in your education level. Now, if your education level is here as a child and you go to the West to continue your education, the education in the West is absolutely, what's the word I can use? It's It's horrendous.
Wow. But we sit here
It's
and we say
horrendous.
that the education is better than ours.
It's horrendous.
Wow.
It's horrendous. It's not good at all. So you're going to the West to further your education in a system where, let's say the pupils are here, and you're coming with your high IQ of there, or your education system of there. Eventually, you're going to come down to their level. You're going to be dumbed down.